Growing up in the 2000s, I didn't know Sega had their own consoles until years later. Apart from the Genesis, they had flop after flop after flop until they realized the console wars weren't in their favor anymore. So they became a third-party developer and put their efforts into making games for other consoles, most notably the GameCube. If you grew up in the 90s, this was a big deal, going from dominating the market over Nintendo to putting all of their games into their systems. Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Mega Collections, which includes the classics, and many more. It was a great way to bring in new Sonic fans. Certainly made me one. After SI2, I waited patiently for the next Sonic game that will defy Sega and Sonic Team's place in the new market. Enter Sonic Heroes, a game so nice, I bought it twice. Released on December 2003 in Japan and 2004 everywhere else, it was the first Sonic game released multi-platform on GameCube and for the first time, PS2 and Xbox. Sonic Team usually uses their own engine, but this game has the Renderware engine to port the game to all consoles at the time. Some note that the PS2 is the inferior version due to it running a lower frame rate and having delayed inputs. Regardless of performance issues, this was the game that reached a wider audience. It has sold around 3.4 million copies, making it the best-selling 3D Sonic game of all time, until recently. However, not a lot of people talk about this game. It got mixed reviews because of its simple story, weird gameplay mechanics, and long levels. It was also sandwiched in between games release-wise that were more well-known, from the adventure games to the I didn't say they were good. So let's break that shadow and give some light to Sonic Heroes. When booting up the game, if you wait on the start screen, it'll play an opening cinematic showcasing each team and characters, albeit reusing the cutscenes from their respective campaign. I love it so much. It reminds me of a cheesy anime opening in the 2000s. Going into the menu, we gotta jump into one-player mode. You choose one of 4 teams of 3 characters. There's a speed, power, and fly type. Speed types are the fastest and have a plethora of moves like homing attack, rocket boost, and can create a tornado against enemies or pulls to get to those hard to reach places. Power types are more suited for combat, having a 3-hit combo and can throw the others as projectiles. They can also glide by having the characters together. Flying types can fly up and stun enemies with their thunder shoot. If the character is by themselves, they will throw ring bombs at enemies. That's cool and all, but do you really think children should have this ability? Yes, that includes Rouge, as it states in the manual that she is 17. Gotcha, sucker! A great thing about the team mechanic is that you can choose who you want with the press of a button. It's cool to change the character on the fly depending on how to tackle hordes of enemies or just get through the level. You can collect these color-coded tokens that will help level up the character associated with that color. The more they level up, the more powerful they become. Homing attacks can take away 3 health points, power punches can add more projectiles, and thunder shoot can do more damage to enemies. Each attack helps build up meter for Team Blast, which is a special move all 3 members perform. It's a nice way to eliminate multiple enemies in one go. After finishing a level, you get an emblem that, depending on how many, unlocks more modes for 2-player. Collecting all of them unlocks Super Hard mode, where the levels are more brutal and challenging. Good thing that didn't stick in the future. There are 14 levels total with the boss/enemy rush after completing 2, and each team shares the same levels with some modifications. Team Rose has their levels shorter and the easiest to beat. Team Dark has longer levels and more challenges to traverse. Team Sonic is somewhere in the middle, basically normal difficulty. And Team Chaotix? Is a fucking nuisance. Their objectives are either baby easy or hair-pullingly hard. One of them is to blow out the red torches in one level, and this is god-awful. If you don't get every single one, you have to go back to the beginning of the level and go through it all again just to find that one torch off the beaten path. It doesn't help that these levels can be really long to get to the goal. Going off the levels from SA2, this was a drastic change for me as a kid, since the level design there was more thought out and can be beaten quickly if you're skilled enough. I don't have a problem with longer levels, but it can turn off newcomers who are playing this as their first game. To Heroes' credit, the level settings are unique and very nice to look at. Seeing these characters in these settings doesn't look out of place for me. It looks like this is the world they live in.
Kill. Eliminate them all. Worthless consumer models. a Sonic game without its jank.
The controls are not fine-tuned, whether it be attacking as a power character or going too fast as a speed character. Don't be surprised if you fall off the level a few times. It doesn't help when most of the levels have bottomless pits that one little slip up costs you a life. Fly types, they're not out of the loop. Their flight barely exists, and the Thunder Shoot aim is awful when trying to hit the targets. Maybe it's more so on the controls that it's difficult to be precise, and there's not that much flight. Granted, if it were too much, it would have broken the game. But it's more so getting to higher places than an actual flight. I understand that Sonic Team only had 20 months to develop this game with an engine they're not accustomed to. But I'm a gamer, so the slightest inconvenience infuriates me!
The gameplay here is pretty basic. In fact, this entire game is basic. The levels are more linear, and even though you use different characters, they all pretty much do the same thing with the press of a button. But despite all that, even after 20 years, I find enjoyment blitzing through the levels and switching through characters on the fly. Each team has their own unique campaign and story, but fair warning, it is very simple.
Our story begins with Team Sonic, with Sonic running around in the mountains. Tails and Knuckles fly by to give him a letter from Dr. Eggman saying he'll conquer the world in 3 days. Now, there are a few things to note. Tails' voice?
Hey look, it's Sonic!
Annoying as hell. Why is Knuckles here? Yes, Angel Island will be conquered as well. However, the one thing I do not get. How is Eggman talking through the letter? Is there a special fabric invented? How long has this invention been around? I cannot understand the science behind this. Anyway, Sonic makes a silly pun and Tails and Knuckles following pursuit, leaving the plane unintended. Hope that thing has a go home button. Team Dark starts with Rouge infiltrating one of Eggman's bases to find his secret treasure, only to find Shadow in an incubator, indicating that he is indeed alive. How did he not get burned falling through the Earth's atmosphere? I don't know. Bro should look like a grilled corn on the cob right now. They get blasted by one of Eggman's robots, E123 Omega. Rouge breaks it up, and we find out that Omega got locked up and wants to take revenge by eliminating all robots. As for Shadow, he doesn't remember anything after he woke up, so now they'll team up to take down Eggman. Why can't you bring Shadow up to speed, you asshat? Onto Team Rose, Amy is looking at a newspaper that has Sonic running with a chow and a frog in hand. The paper flies off, and making their 3D debut, Cream and Cheese manage to grab it. Unfortunately, they get blown away. How did the wind get strong that fast? They manage to be saved by Big the Cat himself. Looking more into the paper, it seems that the creatures in the photo are Froggy and Chocola, and so they make their way to save them.
Hello, I'm Albatross!
No! Lastly, appearing for the first time in 3D, Team Chaotix are detectives just vibing. They get a job request from an anonymous person that will pay them handsomely to do mundane tasks that I mentioned before. My question is, what is the economy like in this world? How much is it to keep leasing an office space that they have? Do they get any kind of business? Why do I want to know about these details in this fictional world? After every 2 acts, you go up against Eggman himself or his Amir robots. If not, it's one team meets with another team and they fight? Honestly, they really shouldn't, since they have the same goal in taking down Eggman. I do understand that it shouldn't be that big of a deal, and maybe the devs didn't want another Eggman fight or robot barrage between them, but some of the stuff here is pretty funny.
Hey!
I feel numb.
All right!
Have a nice fall, you stupid bitch!
You are.
Just what do you think you're doing here?
Who's this broad?
Vector uses
client
slurs!
service.
Once they take down the Eggman blimp, it turns out it was a fake piloting the ship the whole time. Sure, whatever. During this time, each team has their own revelations. Team Rose brings their spirits up with finding their friends. Team Chaotix question who their client is. Team Dark finds a robot Shadow who we never see during the actual boss fight. And Team Sonic sees the Egg Fleet being active. So, are they all fighting Eggman at the same time, or...?
Sonic! Knuckles! Wait for me!
All life form data successfully copied.
The next team face-off, we have Team Sonic and Team Dark.
Hey, isn't that...
Sonic!
Talk about being stubborn and full of surprises.
Sonic. In the previous game, you had beef with this faker because the public mistook you for stealing the emerald, then put your differences aside to take down a giant bio-lizard that was hurling down towards Earth, saw him falling to his death. How are you not freaking out more that he is still alive? Why can't you cure his amnesia? And why are you two fighting if y'all share the same goal? I like a good fight, but at least have a good fucking reason for it, like, oh, I don't know.
Excuse me, miss. I was wondering if I could ask you something.
If it's about a date, it'll have to wait.
Jade! You think this is a joke, you little brat?
Now hand over that chow nice and easy.
I bet you're the ones who took chocolate chow.
What?
See, this makes sense because the Chaotix were collecting Chow the level before, and Team Rose is looking for a Chow, so they associate them as the kidnappers. Can you tell I care too much of this shit? Like I said before, even though the levels themselves are long, the settings look really good for a 2003 game. You have lovely beaches, futuristic cities, bustling casinos, high canyons, beautiful forests, and haunted houses. They remind me of the levels from the classics where each one is unique and distinct from one another. It looks like a 2D game in 3D. I did leave out one setting for last because not only this is a great setting for the end game, it's my favorite setting in the entire game.
You fools must all have a death wish. Witness this invincible battleship built by the hands of a genius. Its power unmatched throughout the universe.
He wasn't kidding about conquering the world. It's so cool roaming from one fleet to the next, utilizing all the mechanics and set pieces from the previous levels. You do a tornado attack to ride along to the next section of the level and destroy not one, but 2 airships. I don't think there's another game that lets us do that. And the second act has more of a final level feel. Having setting at night, the rails lit up, blowing up fleets using a self-destruction button. I don't know why they have one, but hey, at least it looks cool while doing it. I remember as a kid getting to the second half and having laser fired while grinding was the most stressful thing in the world. Can I ask, has anyone been able to grind fast enough to get past the big laser at the end here? I always use Tails to fly above it. Regardless, this is hands down one of my favorite final levels in any Sonic game. Now it's time to face Eggman and his latest creation, the Egg Emperor. A robot in golden armor, a spear and shield in hand. This will be the toughest battle. Just continue using Thunder Shooter level 3 and you'll take it down with these. After the boss, each team has their own ending. Team Sonic reflect on their journey. Sonic thanks Knuckles and Tails for their help. Team Rose reunite with their tiny comrades. Amy chases after Team Sonic toward the end. What's really cool is that these two blend together with Sonic's ending with Amy chasing after the blue blur. Team Dark has the most interesting one as Rouge enters a room full of Shadow clones. As Omega walks in to destroy them, she tells him that Shadow is a robot and then leaves him be. Omega stops her to say the original one must be out there somewhere. She proceeds to talk to Shadow about finding the Master Emerald and he jokes saying that some things never change. This means he remembers her dynamic with Knuckles and she didn't really question that he does. Is he the actual Shadow? Are we gonna get any answers on that? Team Chaotix rescue their client who happens to be Dr. Eggman? I mean, there were signs of his behavior from the communicator a couple of times, but why is he locked up? And who is running the fleet? To get those answers, we have to collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds. How do we do that? By collecting a key that is caged with many throughout the level. Thing is, you need to collect one in Act 2 and have it in your possession when you reach the goal. Once then, you'll be taken to a special stage that has you race through and catch up to the emerald. You have to collect these orbs that can be used as a speed boost. It's almost like this preluded the boost formula. It doesn't matter what team you use as long as you don't repeat a special stage. It's really cool how they put this concept from the 8-bit games into 3D. Sad thing is, the slippery controls make them more slippery, and if you turn from the tube too quickly or hit these spiked orbs, don't even bother catching up because you will fail. You need to manage your speed and maintain turn balance. But I'm a Sonic fan and I want to go fast, damn it! After collecting all 7, it unlocks another section called Last. Very fitting name. It's revealed that the one who was behind everything was Metal Sonic. That's right, this metallic being was impersonating as Eggman and has been collecting data from our heroes to grow stronger. This was my first introduction to Metal. I did not know he existed before in Sonic CD, and my god, he left an impression on me. Having a robot designed to be a better version of Sonic and gain power to lock up Eggman is so cool. But he has something up his sleeve as he hasn't shown his true power.
This might take some time. I'm gonna use the bathroom. Okay, is he done yet? Holy mother of God!
I don't care if his new form doesn't make sense, it looks cool as hell. This definitely gives off a final boss feel. Even Eggman and his robots are freaked out.
If only we had the 7 Chaos Emeralds! What's this? But how?
You don't want to know. Also, where's the 7th Emerald? Damn it, Sonic. So with all 7 in hand and a whole squad on our side,
We'll show that creep the real superpower of teamwork!
the first phase has you use every team besides Sonic's to wear down Metal Madness. His weak spot is color-coded so that the character used that matches it can't deal damage to it. He has a fire sweep attack that is easy to dodge, as well as projectiles that can create spikes or trap one of your comrades if they're too close. Okay, just get the last 10 and... Ow! Oh, wait, what?
We're counting on you.
Oh, f*** you! After that, we get to a second phase where he grows some wings. Now it's up to Team Sonic to power up and take it down once and for all.
What the hell was that? Do the developers not remember they had super forms back in Sonic 3 Knuckles? That would have been cool to see in 3D. Instead, we get these bubble thingamajigs? No wonder people forgot about Heroes, because they don't want to remember Bubble Tails and Bubble Knuckles. To be fair, though, I never finished SA2 as a kid, and I was more mesmerized that this was the first time I saw Super Sonic. I couldn't get past that damn underwater section.
Phase 2 has you control Team Sonic in the sky to defeat Metal Overlord. It has different attacks that each member can counter. Sonic can homely attack the Blue Blast, Knuckles can punch the Fleet, and Tails can thunder shoot the missiles. These attacks build up their Team Blast, which is the only way to deal damage. It would be amazing didn't cut out the cool ass music playing! But for real, this is one of my favorite final bosses. Just flying through the sky, going up against a massive robotic creature is pretty neat. I like how you need to hit 5 Team Blasts total to finish it, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it shows how much of a force this guy is. A great boss fight to remember.
It's no use. But why can't I defeat you?
Because we're Sonic Heroes!
Everyone goes their separate ways. Amy chases after Tails and Sonic, Rouge and Knuckles should get a room already, the Chaotix gang up on Eggman for their payment, Shadow and Omega do something with Metal, and that was the story of Sonic Heroes. Was it basic? Yes. Was it cheesy? Like a dine-in pizza pie. However, it is a genuine fun time to play. This was the first Sonic game I finished, and as a young boy who was dumb as shit, that meant something. The levels are long, but have some variety. The team mechanic was messy, but was a cool idea, and has a simple, yet effective story. It sucks that Heroes never got a re-release on modern platforms. I believe this is due not owning the rights to the engine that they used at the time. There are rumors of a potential remaster in the future with the Hedgehog engine too. If there is, I hope the Chaotix and their stupid mission objectives don't come back. Please come back, please come back, please come back, please come back!